All right, here's part two. So we're going to work through two examples here. Here's the first one. We're going to find an equation of an ellipse with a center at the origin, one focus at 0, 5, and a vertex at 0, -7. Graph the equation by hand, draw a picture, helps visualize everything going on. So as you see here, we're going to graph, we have our vertex 0, -7, and we have one focus here at 0, 5. Well, because of symmetry, I can go ahead and draw these other values out, and that helps me determine, well, everything is laying vertically, so I know I'm of the format of my equation to be x minus 0 squared over my b squared plus y minus 0 over squared over my a squared, with my a being my major axis because we're vertical. This is equal to 1. And I know these points are 0, 0 because my center is the origin. So then from here, I need to determine my b and a value. So remember the triangle that we drew before, that this triangle is going to be what relates all our a, b, and c values. So my a value lays here. My b value is on my minor axis, and my c value is from my vertex to my foci. So I know that my c value, okay, is going to be 5. And also remember that that this value of my major axis is also a. So then I get a is equal to 7. So I can go ahead and solve for b by using my Pythagorean theorem. So I get 7 squared is equal to 5 squared plus b squared. I get 49 is equal to 25 plus b squared. So I get 24 is equal to b squared. So I go ahead and clean up this equation a little bit, and I get x squared over b squared. Well, I already know what b squared is. I don't need to know what b is. I put 24 there. Plus y squared over my a squared 7. So 7 squared is 49. That equals 1. So I found the equation of my ellipse. So I can use this to help finish graphing this out. So I only have these points here in the red. To figure out my b value, remember my b squared is equal to this, so b is equal to the square root of 24, which is approximately 4.9. So I go ahead and plot points right here, and I have my vertex here at 0, -7. I know the max is up there, and I can go ahead and connect the dots and get the graph of my ellipse there. Always nice to label my focus. So if this was 5, this is -5, and these are my focus there. All right, so go ahead and we can see how the book worked it there. So our second example here is find the center, major axis, foci, and vertices of this equation. First thing I want to recognize is, yes, I am dealing with an ellipse. I have an x squared positive and a 9y squared positive. Yes, their coefficients are different, so it's not a circle, but the coefficients have the same sign, so it must be an ellipse. So what I need to do is I need to get it into that standard form there so I can identify my h and k and my a and b values so that I can go ahead and meet the needs of this problem. So I'm going to set this up to complete the square. So I'm going to group my x's together. I'm going to group my y's together. And I'm going to move my constant to the other side of the equal sign. So So first thing I want to do is I want to get my coefficient in front of my squared terms to be 1. So I got to factor out the 4s just from my x terms. So I'm going to have x squared plus 8x plus some mystery number is equal to, but I'm completing the square for my y. So I get 9, factor that out, and I'm going to be y squared. 9 times what's negative 36, I get negative 4y plus some mystery term, close that up, equals negative 64. And remember, on this side, I'm not just going to be adding those values, but I got to remember I'm adding 4 times that value because of this factored out 4. And I got to add 9 times my second mystery value because of that 9. So I go ahead and take my b terms, divide by 2, and square. So I get 4x squared plus 8x plus 16 plus 9 y squared minus 4y plus 4 equals negative 64 plus 4 times 16 plus 9 times 4. So I clean this up and factor these out. So I get 4 times my perfect square, x plus 4 squared, plus 9, y minus 2 squared equals, that's negative 64. Those cancel out, and I'm equal to 36. So remember, my general form on this right side has this needs to be equal to 1. So how am I going to fulfill that need? I got to divide by 36 on both sides. So that requires dividing both terms by 36. And I'm going to simplify my fractions of my coefficients. 4 over 36 is the same thing as 1/9. So I get x over 4 squared over 9. Plus 9 over 36 is the same thing as 1/4. So I get y minus 2 squared over 4 is equal to 1. So from this, I need to understand how to find different values. So I'm going to have a basic graph that I want to start here. Noticing that my largest term, 9, in my denominator is with my x. So that means I'm going to have a ellipse somewhat like that. And then let's go ahead and label some of the things we know. So we know we're going to have a focus, and we're going to have a center, and then our focus is going to be here, and our equation relating A, B, and C are all going to be here. So this being my major axis, I know that 9 is equal to A, and then from here, I know that my 4 is equal to B, and both these are squared. So my A is equal to 3, taking the square root of both sides, and B is equal to 2. So now that I have those values there, I can go ahead and recognize that, all right, this is 3, my B is 2 to my minor axes. So I know in order to find my C value here, the distance from my vertex to my focus, I'm going to have to solve my Pythagorean theorem. So I get 3 squared is equal to 2 squared plus C squared. And so I get 9 is equal to 4 plus C squared. So C squared is equal to 5. So C is equal to the square root of 5. All right, so let's go ahead and get this information on a graph. So for my graph, I have these points. I can go ahead and graph my H and K values. So I'm -4, 2, and I'm there. So for my foci, I got to understand that I need to add and subtract my C value to get my two focuses there. So then my focus is going to be -4 plus and minus the square root of 5 over 2. And I'm fine that you just write a single 2 points in this way, just knowing that square root of 5 is going to be 2 point something. So we're going to be a little bit out here. So for my focus 1, I'm 2 and a little bit away, and I'm 2 and a little bit away. So there is my two focuses. Okay, my vertexes, remember, is just going to be my A value for my major axes. So I know this is my major axis. That 3, it's 3 away from the vertex. So if I was here, I add and subtract 3 to that, I get my vertex to be -4 plus or minus 3, 2. So I'm going to be at -7. It's going to be one vertex. And then I'm going to be at -1. That's my other vertex. And I know for my minor axis is going to be here. Okay, and that's 2. So that from my, I add and subtract 2 to my K value. So then I'm going to get those values, which is going to be 2 above, 2 below, and then I have enough information to graph my ellipse there with my center at H and K. All right, go ahead and make sure you highlight any questions you might have for me tomorrow. Have a good evening.